What's good, y'all? You guys are tuned in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II. Before you guys get too comfortable, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. And on top of that, make sure you guys stay engaged. I love when you guys comment below. I love engaging with you guys. I think you guys bring a ton of energy, so I want to make sure we keep that thing going. Now, I want to talk to you guys about something that's really been on my mind. I've really just been digesting the Philadelphia Eagles schedule, and I've been thinking about every game they have to play, where they have to play it, when they have to play it, who they got to play. And I'm saying to myself, although the NFL tried their best to make sure they humbled the Philadelphia Eagles, although the NFL tried their best to make sure that the Philadelphia Eagles have a rough start, although they've tried their best to make sure the Philadelphia Eagles have a hard way to go, I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. I look at this team from top to bottom, especially the key guys on offense and defense. I look at this team top to bottom, and I say to myself, all these other teams still have a long way to go. Yeah, the NFL was trying to test the Philadelphia Eagles. But I look at it like this. We're the test. The Eagles are the litmus test. The Eagles are the Super Bowl champions. Why do we got to prove ourselves to anybody else? They got to prove themselves to us. They got to prove that they're worthy of playing on the same field as the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's be honest about this. I look at this Eagles team top to bottom. Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Super Bowl MVP, All-Pro, Pro Bowler. You got Saquon Barkley, former or reigning Offensive Player of the Year, All-Pro, led the league in rushing, has the all-time record for total yards in a single season when it comes to rushing in the regular season and playoffs. You got A.J. Brown, who's a perennial All-Pro, perennial Pro Bowler. You got Devontae Smith. Like, are we serious about this? Arguably the best route runner in football, arguably the smoothest wide receiver in football, the best hands in football. I'm willing to put my money on that. We got the best wide receiver duo in football. I'm willing to bet on that. Some of you guys may take Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I'm not going to argue with you. Some of you guys may take Justin Jefferson and Addison. I'm not going to argue with you. Some of you guys may take Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you. Some of you guys may take CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I might argue with you about that. But the point is, you got options out there when it comes to wide receiver duos. But I'm taking my guys. I'm taking A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith over anybody in this league. And I'm sorry if you feel differently. But then I think about the tight end position. Dallas Goedert, a guy that's very dominant, very physical, a beast when you think about it. And then on top of that, I think about the offensive line. There's not an offensive line in football that's as complete, that's as dominant as the Philadelphia Eagles. You may say the Lions got a good offensive line. You may say the Packers have a good offensive line. You got teams you can go out there and say, okay, they got a decent, a solid offensive line. But when you got Jordan Mailata at left tackle, Lane Johnson at right tackle, Landon Dickerson at left guard, Tyler Steen at right guard, and Cam Jurgens at center, there's not a more complete offensive line in football. There's not a more physically imposing offensive line in football. Then you got Jeff Stoutland doing what he does. And let's take it a step further than that. Let's get to the defensive side of the ball. Zack Baun, All-Pro, Defensive Player of the Year finalist. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, two of the hottest young defensive players in football, two of the hottest young corners in football. Both of them were Rookie of the Year finalists. You also have Nolan Smith, who had an amazing playoff run, 4 sacks in the playoffs. 10.5 sacks on the whole season. You got Jalen Carter, the most dominant D tackle in football. I'm willing to argue about that. The most dominant, the most ferocious. Gets tackles for loss, gets sacks, gets pass deflections at the line of scrimmage. Literally the most dominant defensive player on the Philadelphia Eagles football team. You got Jordan Davis, an elite run stuffer. You got deeper when you drafted Jahad Campbell. You brought in Andrew Makuba to replace CJ GJ, who brings you that same energy, brings you that same swagger. You got Reed Blankenship, one of the most stable, one of the most reliable safeties in football. He's a glue guy. He may not be the most elite athletic-wise. He may not be the most elite talent-wise, but Reed Blankenship is somebody you can trust back there. I can go on and on. The Kobe Dean, who had a career year in 2024, still has to get healthy, but I think the Philadelphia Eagles have accumulated a ton of depth, not only through free agency, but also through the draft to make sure they're good to go at that position. You got deeper on the edge. You brought in Aziz Ojolari. You brought in Josh Uche to compete. You feel what I'm saying? You drafted Antoine Paul Ryland, a guy who I think is going to compete for some real reps this season. I think this Eagles team is just a force to be reckoned with. You got Kelee Ringo, who's a guy who still has to prove himself. There are some concerns about that CB2 spot. I won't lie about that. But I think Kelee Ringo wins the job, and I think Kelee Ringo is ready to go. I think about the coaching staff that stayed. I think about everything about this team, top to bottom. I say to myself, the rest of the league, they're the ones that should be concerned. They're the ones that's being tested. We're the test. We're the standard. Reigning NFC East champions, reigning NFC champion, reigning Super Bowl champions in dominant fashion, dominated the NFC, especially throughout the playoffs. dominated the Commanders, dominated the Chiefs. The Rams gave us a run for our money. I will admit that. But if we're being honest about it, they really didn't have a chance. They really didn't. We dominated them 2 games in a row. I'm standing on that. I'm standing on that. They had a chance. I will give you. They had a chance. But nah, I'm still taking the Eagles over the Rams today. The Green Bay Packers. It was a little bit of a iffy game, but we dominated them for the most part. Forced turnovers in every playoff game. Scored the most points in any NFC championship ever. Scored the most points in the playoffs ever. This Eagles team is only getting better, and they're younger on defense. I just can't look at the field and say I'm too concerned. The schedule is going to be a challenge, but I think the Philadelphia Eagles have everything they need. The rest of the league should be concerned, not the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's just my position on this. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are still the team to beat. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are still the class of the NFC and the NFL. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have a top 5 quarterback. They have a top 3, top 2 wide receiver duo in football. They have the best offensive line in football. They have a top 5, top 6 tight end, definitely top 10 if you want to argue about it. They have the number 1 defense still in my eyes, despite the losses. You lost Josh Sweat, okay. You lost Milton Williams. You lost Darius Slay. You lost Isaiah Rodgers. You lost CJGJ. You lost some quality talent. I'm not going to lie about that. But I still believe this Philadelphia Eagles team has all the pieces they need. I think this Eagles team today is still more talented than most teams in football. Is it really a question? So make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you guys feel differently, if you guys have a different opinion, if you agree, I want to know. I want to argue. Make sure you guys comment below, share the content, stay engaged, and it's straight like that. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II, and you guys have been locked in on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. And I am your Philadelphia Eagles news source.